Yo, Issa, high schoolboy football look this season. People them ready, you know. Alright then, pick up, Manning Cup. Oliver your shield, yo, make we link up. We watch the Champions Cup, Ben Francis Walker Cup. Which team are win the championship this season? Yo, Issa, wonder if a school I go finish the league and beat now. Which youth I go collect the golden boot and be the favorite for the people? Yo, Issa, we see fans a roll out all about the flag pan vehicle. Looking at the crowd, bus load of supporters from school and community too. People nothing at distance, some a listen.
Back with football on the SportsMax Zone. Action continues to intensify in the Issa schoolboy football with a round of 16 in both the urban era Manning Cup and the rural era DaCosta Cup getting underway this weekend in Jamaica. Let's first have a look at the groups in both competitions. Here's the DaCosta Cup. Alphonsus Davis, Garvin Maseo, Kempsey and Stets in Group 1. Clarendon College, Cornwall College, Frome Tech and Monroe College in Group 2. Group 3 has Dinthill Tech, Glenmuir, Happy Grove and Ocherias High. Denby in the last hour have been beaten and they have been knocked off in Group 4. Central High, Manchester High and McGrath High. Belair, the team, knocking Denby off in Group 4, replacing them in Group 4. So here's what the Manning Cup round of 16 looks like. The defending champions, Mona High, St. George's College, Campion and St. Jago High in Group 1. Group 2 has Eltham, Tivoli Gardens, Jonathan Grant and Excelsior. Group 3 will have Kingston College, St. Andrew Technical, Wilmer's Boys and Hydel. And Group 4 has St. Catherine High, Jamaica College, Calabar High and Charles Smith. So matches from 3 of these Manning Cup groups will be live on SportsMax platforms on Friday and Saturday. So much to look forward to. Dwight Jeremiah, the William Knibb coach and SportsMax football analyst, joins us live in a telephone link up looking ahead. Let me start with a generic question here, Dwight. Always great to have you on the SportsMax Zone. I know you're a DaCosta Cup man as the William Knibb coach, but in the last 5 Olivia Shield tournaments, playoffs, the DaCosta Cup teams have won over Manning Cup teams. Will that trend continue? Are you more impressed with the DaCosta Cup quality than you are of the Manning Cup quality?
I think it's not just impressed with it. I think this season, close teams are more evenly matched. I feel there's not necessarily a huge standout. Yes, they've spoken about pre-season favorites like Glenmuir, who have retained a lot of their players, so I expect that they were very good last time round. So if they continue, then yes, I think Glenmuir can be a standout. Mannings was touted as one of the pre-season favorites, but they're out. And I guess that was on the premise that they won the under-16 title last year. But I guess they need more time. So I think it's quite likely to continue. I'd say that not having seen a lot of some of the Manning Cup team, I've looked at the scoreline and recognized, apart from maybe Mona in some cases, it seems to be even.
Yeah, well, let's focus then on more of the DaCosta Cup then, Dwight, since you know, based on your role, would be more au fait with what's happening in the DaCosta Cup because that's your neck of the woods. You mentioned Glenmuir as a high-quality team, had a couple of stutters so far this season. Where do you think the deep end of the championship will see? Well, the top teams going in.
I still believe Glenmuir is quite good. I think those 2 games that they lost, there were many changes to it as well, to their team, because they were sailing quite smoothly and were okay with qualifying. So I think when it comes down to the crunch game, the players that he will depend on are really a good quality set and having the experience from last year, the bulk of them. So I expect them to be the main protagonist in this one. I have come up against a Manchester team which, in truth, I saw them against Mannings. They didn't look too bad against me with my young charges. I don't know, because that game was a game that they needed to get a result. They were a bit timid with it. They got a goal to nil against me, but I didn't see what I saw before. So the consistency as well is something that may concern me. when I look at maybe stats, I did come up against them as well. It's just that at this stage of the tournament, those teams are like that, maybe difficult to get by. But I'm still looking at Glenmuir as the main team. McGrath is not looking too bad, but they do concede, and I think against some better teams, they could run into problems.
Yeah, your thoughts on Cornwall College, who would be your neighbours? Traditional, big guns in the DaCosta Cup football, not as potent in recent years as we know they had been previously, but I know that they've had a good under 14, under 16 program going through. Any chance that Cornwall College with their big coach could topple some top teams for the championship?
I tell you what, the big coach is there, yes, and I find that maybe at the Premier League level is a lot easier. In schoolboy football, 90 minutes can be undone with 5 minutes with these youngsters. Cornwall hasn't really hit gear in the first round, and even in this playoff here, they drew with Rockies 1-1, and even against Pat Valley, despite it ended 4-0 in the end. It was 0-0 for a very long period until Pat Valley decided to make a number of changes just to give some youngsters some game time because they were out. So it could have been different for Cornwall College. So I really don't think, anything can happen, but I don't think this year they have shown so far enough that even with their coach there, that they will be able to go all the way.
Yeah, I know Theodore Whitmore would have had, a group that he's looking to, probably flourish maybe in the coming seasons. But as we talk about him and his straddling duties with schoolboy football and Mount Pleasant's head coaching duties, a proliferation of coaches are straddling both Premier League and schoolboy jobs as well, Dwight. Your thoughts on that and the utility of coaches stretching themselves over both competitions?
I think it's a challenge, and it's down to the coaching staff that they have at either institution, whether it's the club or the school. Because I've seen, take for instance, Malines. You have Jermaine Thomas, who's at McGrath, and Malines, and we see Malines struggling as well. We see Mount Pleasant on the weekend. They had to fight real hard. Yes, that is normally a battle with them and Cavalier. And Cornwall as well is not firing. I think it's a challenge, especially because of what was required this year for the preparation for the DaCosta Cup. With Beryl passing through and a lot of schools starting late, I think it required more of the coaches to be there to try and get these teams up to speed. So when you have your attention split, I think this year is where it would show up more than previous years because the time frame in terms of preparation was much shorter. I had about 5 weeks to prepare William Mill. That's the shortest ever I've had. So the cycles that you'd want to go through, macro and micro cycles, they just didn't exist. So I think the challenge is more this year, and that type of involvement could show up a little bit more this year.
Yeah, and quickly, just before you go, Dwight, I know that people from time to time talk about the quality of the schoolboy game now as against maybe decades ago. And it has been said that the coaching quality for today's schoolboy football is superior to the coaching quality of maybe 30, 40 years ago. And it has triggered some more structure in how teams play. Is that something you would agree with?
I want to agree to a large degree, yes, because even me coaching a club team here in Holland, maybe in Major League or Tier 2, you find that the competition in the schoolboy football is much more because teams are better conditioned, teams are better coached, you'd want to say, and training sessions are better planned because you know the numbers you're going to work with. And yes, I believe with the advent of the coaching school, coaching education at JFF and the push to have more coaches certified, I really think so. The challenge, though, Lance, is that I think it could have been better. But we are at the age of the millennial or the youngsters who are heavily driven by social media and other distractions. So even in a school where normally you'd have a lot of boys turning out, you don't have those numbers as now. And so sometimes, like me at William Nib, I suffer from depth for as long as I've been here, having a good 11 or 12, but not enough. So I think the coaching thing is better. But I think there's challenges with the distractions for the youngster. But I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right, Dwight, thanks for linking with us. We anxiously await the round of 16 because it's business time now in schoolboy football, both in the DaCosta Cup and the Manning Cup in Jamaica. I know TNT's football SSFL is also getting down to the championship stages of the competition. So always a pleasure talking to you, looking at schoolboy football.
I guess I'll be watching it from an advantage point, either the sideline or in the commentary box at this stage.
All right, Dwight Jeremiah there, is football analyst for SportsMax and a coach of William Knibb in the DaCosta Cup football competition. We go to break on the SportsMax Zone. We'll be back with our interactive segment after this.
Nothing at distance, I'm a listen per radio, but I'm watch it on TV too. Country and town unite for one reason. It's a schoolboy football. Run come, look one, look all. Which team are the best and I go better than the rest? And if a your team beat your chest, it's a schoolboy football. A team could rise and a team could fall, but they never will know until the whistle blows. So run, come enjoy the show. Yo, it's that competition I never have it nice. So people love see when boy I get nice up on the field. I'm goal a score from far and them love it with peaceful and the youths now war. Yo, it's a schoolboy football.